So the new Walten Files episode just came out, and it's better than any of us could have dreamed of. These characters absolutely come to life in the new animations in this episode, and the lore drops are stunningly mind-boggling. My mind has been turning many ways on all the new information presented in this episode. I absolutely love the series, but you're not here for a review. You're here because of a mystery. A mystery that we've been trying to solve since all the way back in episode 1. This episode complicated things even more than they already were, but I think I got it figured out. This is due to one tiny detail we missed in the previous episode. Let's get right into it with our question of the day. Who is Bon? The first thing you'll hear a lot of people say when asked who they think is possessing Bon is Jack Walten. That the grief of losing his children was too much for him and he just snapped. This didn't make sense to me for multiple reasons. Felix confessed about what happened to his children, so I don't see any reason why he would work with him. It also doesn't make sense for Jack to dispose of the technicians for seemingly no reason at all. This convinced me to keep digging for an answer that satisfied me, and I think I found one. We need to go all the way back to the event that started this all for our theory to make sense. Jack Walten calls his buddy and business partner Felix Kranken for a favor. He needs him to pick up his 11-year-old son Edward and 8-year-old daughter Molly from their school dance. Felix agrees and decides to have a few drinks while waiting for the party to end. They drive home, but the car crashes due to Felix's drunken state, ending both Ed and Molly's lives. It only takes about a month after this event before we see Bon go on an absolute rampage and take the lives of many innocent people. It started with the disappearance of Jack Walten, but the demise of technicians Susan Woodings and Charles Brooke soon followed. The spree seems to have ended with Rosemary Walten on July 19, 1974. It's clear that Bon is responsible for all the disappearances, but if you pay close attention you might notice that he is never alone. Susan is the first one to pass away, and here we can see a shadowy figure watch Bon as he hugs her very tightly. We haven't seen what exactly happened to Charles besides a picture of what he looked like before and after a meeting with Bon. Next up is Rosemary Walten. Rosemary got lured into the backrooms of the restaurant by what she thought to be her missing husband. She started to get uncomfortable with her surroundings and tried to head back, only for the Shadowman to be blocking her path. She turned around to run the other way, but was met by Bon staring her down with clear intentions. This leaves us with a few questions and theories, so let's take it step by step. First, we need to figure out who this mysterious Shadowman is, and I think the evidence is heavily stacked up for him to be Felix Kranken. Let me explain. Our first big piece of evidence is revealed in the episode Bunny Farm during Bozu's segment. Here we can see Billy holding a blue figure as two green figures stand next to a car by his foot. I think this resembles the night of the car crash due to the happy green figures turning red and sad in the next slide. They are supposed to represent Ed and Molly turning into the red children that night. But then we take a look at the figure in his hand. The only other person known to be involved in that car crash is Felix Kranken. He was wearing a blue suit just like the little figure in Billy's hand. But then we take a closer look at what the figure in his hand turns into. A tiny little man engulfed in shadows. The Shadowman. The second piece of evidence is not found within the episodes themselves, but is simultaneously the most damning piece of evidence of them all. In the song Slowly from the Showstoppers, we can hear the animatronics sing the following lyrics. Shadowman watches from the dark. He knows he wrecked that car and swears he had no part. He's got no heart. I don't think there's another car crash in the Walten Files other than the one Felix was involved in. The song states that the Shadowman crashed the car, making it pretty obvious that the Shadowman refers to Felix. His grief and regret haunts him to the point where he can hear the spirits of Ed and Molly while their soul roams around in Neverland. This is because their spirit tethered itself to Rocket the doll, which Felix keeps on him at all times. We can hear Felix selfishly worry about his future and the future of his business. This is the exact thing the spirit behind Bon was looking for. the spirit used the same bridge that Ed and Molly created to manipulate Felix into making a deal. He will get rid of anyone who could stand in the way of his future or the future of his business. All he asks in return is to be allowed to tether his spirit to the animatronic Bon and a list of the names of the people Felix needs to dispose of. This is the tape we hear Ashley play in the Relocate project, which is dated on the same day as Jack's disappearance. That only leaves one question. Who is the spirit that eventually connected to Bon and caused all this chaos? The answer to this lies in a single frame many people may have missed. Episode 4 teases us with a single frame that connects the spirit of Bon to the cybertech company. Looks familiar? This could mean that the spirit is someone from cybertech, as he makes sure he is seen during the company's introduction. It needs to be someone who has long passed away before 1974. This narrows our list of suspects down to only one person. Jason Pultrick, the founder of Cybertech Fun. Our timeline makes a lot more sense now when keeping all this in mind. Bon immediately started to get rid of the people on his list, but the public caught on to the disappearances. This caused the restaurant to close only a month after it opened. Felix, who was already facing the loss of his business, wanted to make sure he didn't lose his future too. He decided to play it safe and lock all the evidence into a storage facility deep inside the forest. This trapped the spirit of Jason Pultrick, as he was still tethered to the animatronic Bon. The only reason he was stuck there is because Felix was worried someone was going to find out what he did. When Ashley Parks found the tape of all the missing people and wandered into Billy's room, she basically signed her own end. Bon knew he was never getting out if Ashley spread that tape, so he did what he thought he had to do. He continued to patiently rot in the darkness until the next opportunity presented itself 4 years later. He thought he found his way out with Sophie entering the facility. Bon chased her down like a rabid dog and unleashed years of built-up rage onto her, only to realize it was not her. Brian Stelz sadly met his end. But this means Bon is no longer inside the facility. This utterly dangerous animatronic is now free to roam the lands again. Who knows what he'll do next? Only time will tell. What did you all think of these theories? Please let me know if I got anything wrong or if you have any better theories of your own. I love reading and discussing them in the comments below, since I know I got at least a few things wrong. Also, don't forget to like and subscribe while you're down there. It really helps with trying to make YouTube a full-time thing, as I am currently unable to do so. But as always, thanks for watching.